Hello and welcome to I'm Still Playing. My name is Dusty Monk, and my goal with this channel is to provide you with something new along two vectors. The first vector is to provide you with insights from my 25 years of game development, perspectives as someone who's still playing games but looks at everything with an eye as to why in the hell did the developers choose to do it this particular way over that particular way. But the other perspective that I try to provide is that of a casual solo player. In fact, much of my MMO content is centered around just that, how to get better as a casual solo. And even though lately I've been more focused in the gacha space, obviously, that's still a perspective that I want to bring to you. How can I, a casual player, become a better player? And that's what today's video is about. And who knows, even if you're an expert, then maybe there's some tips in here for you as well. And if nothing else, well, then maybe you can share some things with me in the comments below. Okay, so first of all, how do you know if you're even good or not, right? Because this game will straight up 100% lie to you. It will allow you to parade through the game, wading through all of the glorious story content and event content, feeling amazing and incredibly powerful, right up to the point where you can't. And then ZZZ is going to be like, JK, turns out you're not really great. Good luck, see you in hell. And you shouldn't hate the game for that, right? Because that is the nature of its design. The developers absolutely want you to be able to participate in the stories and see the cutscenes and try out the characters and in general engage with the game. And this is really no different than your typical MMO. As you are leveling from 1 to 70 in World of Warcraft, let's face it, at no point are you ever going to face anything that's actually, difficult. I mean, you'll die some, sure, but unless you're participating in world PvP or leveling through dungeons, well, then you are waffle stomping your way through Azeroth without a care or trouble in the world. But once you hit max level and start engaging in WoW's in-game systems, well, now you're going to face challenges. And you know what? The game developers are more than happy to allow you to self-select your way right out of that content. Gacha games are no different. Okay, so let's take a look at a real-life example. Here I am, banging my head against the wall of CU Defense Node 10. Now, I have, up until now, been able to take my teams through the nodes without too much difficulty. It did take me a couple of attempts at Node 9, but I got my S rank. But here at Node 10, the first team isn't even completing the combat. So let's take a look at what's wrong and see if we can't fix it. Okay, so when you're looking at where you can improve when facing difficult content, in general, I tend to ask myself these three questions. 1, are my team comps good? 2, are my agents leveled up enough? Then 3, is there a skill issue? I mean, do I just suck? And the order of that is important, right? Because there's no shortage of people giving you advice along the lines of level up your characters. Well, yeah, duh. But you're never going to have the resources to level all of your characters to where you want them. So you'll have to make hard decisions about which characters level first. And if you haven't figured out your teams yet, then how are you going to make that decision? Okay, so starting with team composition, let's take a look at my teams here. Miyabi, Astra, and Nicole are my current all-stars. Now, Miyabi is leveled quite well. She's including all of her cord skills, and she has a decent, if not great, set of gear. Nicole and Astra are still punking around at level 50, but right now they're fine. Although one thing I didn't notice at the time here is that my Bangu is not right for this team. Shark Blue is meant for the 2 ice team, which I was running with Miyabi for a while, but clearly not now. So that's already one thing that can be fixed. But for CU defense, you'll need 2 teams, right? So what I did was I split up Astra and Nicole, and I put Nicole on team B along with Anby. Now this puts 2 cutting hairs together, and one of them is a stun agent for Haramasa. I then put Sukaku on team A, so that she can provide a second anomaly builder for Miyabi to trigger disorders. Now, as I said earlier, these 2 teams have been doing just fine all the way up into Shiru Node 9, earning S rank in all of them. But when I got to Node 10, well, that pile driver was just wrecking my team B. So let's re-examine those teams. And so what I think I want to do is I'll put Lycon on team B as a stunner and then pair him with Sukaku. I think Lycon is just a stronger stun agent than Anby, to be honest. Please don't come at me. And with 2 ice agents, I can put Shark Blue back on their team and get his bonus. And this in turn allows me to put the All-Stars back together, which is fantastic because I really like this team. And we'll put Double Blue on team A, though obviously we're going to need to level them up some. Okay, so we've made our changes to our team composition. Now, obviously we won't know for sure if this works or not until we try it out. But before we do, I still think there's more we can do. And that takes us to the next question to answer. Are my agents leveled up enough? Now, listen, every single DPS guide out there is going to tell you you need to level up your agents, and they're not wrong. But even within that idea, there's still a lot of questions, such as who to focus on, and what order do I need to level their skills and equipment, and how many agents should I level at all? So here's what's been recommended to me, and what I in turn recommend. First of all, DPS uber alles. Now, some games want you to level up your team at roughly the same rate, and to create a solid team of like-leveled agents. This is not the case in Zenless Zone Zero. Here, DPS really carry the team, and a well-leveled, strong DPS can take you far into the content. So focus your materials there first, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I think Miyabi is fine, so we're going to leave her alone for now. And while I'm not the biggest Haramasa fan, he is probably the second strongest DPS in my roster. Especially when you consider that Corin, Anton, Billy, and Piper are literally all of my only other choices. And plus, I've already invested in him, so let's put our efforts there. Now, when you're leveling a character, again, here's what's been recommended to me and what I suggest. Agent and W engine levels first, and then skills, and then disk drives. And the reason for this is actually pretty simple. Agent level and skills are completely deterministic. The only requirement is time. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to the core skills, that time investment can be significant due to the limitation of core skill enhancement materials. But again, it is only time. Oh, and by the way, those core skill passives are super important. So make sure you're unlocking the highest level of those as you can. Now, because it could literally take weeks for me to get him all the way leveled up, and I'm going to try to make this video, well, tonight, I'm going to go as far as I can in areas that I have materials for, and we'll just go from there. But given time, this is the order of things I'd focus on. Agent level, and then skills, and then disk drives. By the way, now seems like a good time to mention that the game will recommend to you what things it thinks you should be focusing on next, and those recommendations are actually usually pretty good. All right, so I got after it for a couple of hours, and here we are. 3 notorious hunts later, more combat simulations than you can swing a dead cat at, and burning through way more of my battery backup charge than I'm entirely comfortable with. I think I have Haramasa in a pretty good spot. Let's take a look. So the first thing we did was level him up to level 60, as I talked about. Then we turned to his skills and activated a new tier of his core skill passes. This grants him now a 22.6% increase in his crit rate for his special dash attack, and now for each stack of gleaming edge he's generated, his crit damage is increased by 11%. We've also improved to some extent all of his other skills. His dash attack, which is his bread and butter, is increased up to level 10. His basic attack, special attack, and ultimate are all leveled up to 8, and I even improved his chain attack slightly. As for his equipment, we've upgraded his W engine all the way up to level 60, and we've upgraded the disk drives up to level 9 across the board. In fact, if you go to the special training page for him, we're at least at the level of competency for all of its recommendations. And if you check recommendations, we're now great from the plan standpoint, and at least good or better for everything else. So again, this is not a top tier setup, but we should be in a much better place than we were before. Oh, one additional thing. I had some Bupons saved up, so I made a single 10 pull on the 2 Ether Agent S tier Bangbu. And what do you know? I got it, right? If only my character pulls were that lucky. I didn't have much of an excess of Bangbu leveling mats, but I did get this little fella up to level 30, and he's going to be a much better choice for the All-Star team. Okay, so now that we've selected our teams and leveled up our key agents, the final question you have to ask yourself is there a skill issue? Do I just suck? Well, that may certainly be the case, but here's the thing. There are plenty of videos and guides for every character released so far in Zenless Zone Zero. So my advice regarding this is know your characters. Listen, for every character in this game, you can have some modicum of success just by executing attacks and pressing Q when the ultimate button pops up. But every character also has a unique playstyle, and to succeed in any content past the story, you're going to need to know that playstyle. As for myself, I cannot claim to be an expert either with Haramasa or Miyabi, but I do feel like I have enough knowledge of the kit to know what I should be doing, even if I'm not always executing it correctly. All right, so now that we've done everything we can do in a short amount of time, well, how did we do? Let's find out. Here we are for Node 10, and here are the previous teams we failed with, the sucky teams. And now here are our new teams. First, we have our All-Stars, Miyabi, Astra, and Nicole, along with their new Bangbu buddy. They've got the Ether Damage Pile Driver dude. Team B, featuring Haramasa, Lycon, and Sukaku, along with Sharkboo, are tackling the Ice and Ether boss. Now, this video is already going on a little bit long, so I'm not going to make you sit through this entire fight. In the first half, the All-Star team, they did great. I still soaked up a few more of those pile driver hits than I would like. There's that skill issue thing, right? But our girls pretty much wrecked him. But we always knew the real test was going to be Team B. Could I get days built up fast enough with Lycon and execute Haramasa's slash attacks inside of his stun windows? So I didn't do great with Haramasa per se, but I did get his quivers out and I generated his slash attacks fairly well enough, even if they were quite often outside the stun window. But you know what? The combination was effective enough because we ended up defeating the second boss with a full 20 seconds left on the S tier timer. That's right, challenge complete. We went from not being able to defeat the first boss at all to beating both bosses and doing so quickly enough to earn the S tier ranking. Okay, so that's going to do it for this episode of I'm Still Playing. I hope this has helped a little bit. If you reach a point where you're struggling to get to the next phase of some piece of content, remember these guidelines. Do you have the right team? If so, then are the agents on that team leveled up enough? And if they are, then is there more that you can be doing and executing with those agents? Let those questions be your guide. Until next time, whatever you're playing, play hard.